Before we begin, subscribe to After the Sirens and leave a comment telling me which forgotten wartime skill you think deserves more attention. Because this channel exists for people who care deeply about real history, real survival knowledge, and lessons that still matter today. During World War II, millions of civilians and soldiers faced brutal winters with little fuel, unreliable electricity, and constant supply shortages. Central heating was rare, modern insulation barely existed, and yet people survived winters that would shut down modern cities today. What they developed were not conveniences, but systems. These heating hacks were born from necessity, refined by repetition, and proven under conditions far harsher than most modern homes will ever experience. Some of these methods still outperform modern heaters when fuel is scarce, power is unreliable, or efficiency matters more than comfort aesthetics. This is not nostalgia. This is applied history. How layered heat zoning kept entire homes warm with almost no fuel. One of the most effective World War II-era heating strategies was heat zoning, long before the term existed. Families closed off unused rooms completely, sealing doors with blankets, newspapers, or even cardboard. Heat was concentrated into a single living space where cooking, sleeping, and daily activity occurred. Instead of attempting to heat an entire house, they heated people. This method worked because, well, every human body produces heat. Every candle or stove added just a bit more warmth and insulation. Even crude insulation trapped that heat effectively. In practice, a single coal stove or wood burner could keep a small sealed room warm enough for survival, even in freezing conditions. Today, this method can be applied during power outages by choosing one-room sealing air gaps with towels or plastic sheeting, and using a safe heat source like a rocket stove outdoors, paired with heat retention indoors. Modern heaters, you see, waste energy by heating empty spaces. Wartime zoning wasted nothing. Why did masonry stoves outperform modern heaters? Well, it's because they stored heat instead of chasing it. Across Europe and parts of the Soviet Union, masonry stoves were common long before the war, but honestly, World War II proved their unmatched efficiency. These stoves burned hot and fast, often for only a short period each day, then slowly released heat for up to 24 hours through thick stone or brick walls. Unlike modern heaters that cycle constantly and lose heat through vents and, those thin metal casings, masonry stoves absorbed thermal energy and released it evenly. Civilians burned small amounts of wood peat or even scavenged materials, conserving fuel while maintaining consistent warmth. A modern survival application would be using thermal mass inside a room, such as brick walls, stone floors, or even water containers heated safely and allowed to radiate warmth overnight. The principle is simple. Heat stored is heat saved. How underground and semi-buried living spaces reduced heat loss dramatically. During bombing campaigns, many families lived partially underground for extended periods. What they discovered was that Earth itself is one of the best insulators available. Temperatures underground remain relatively stable year-round, far warmer than surface air in winter. Basements, cellars and trench shelters retained body heat and stove warmth far more effectively than above-ground rooms. Even today, Earth-sheltered homes require significantly less heating. In a modern context, this knowledge applies to using basements during winter outages, insulating foundation walls, or even building temporary earth berms against exterior walls to reduce heat loss. You know, WWII civilians did not fight the cold air. They hid from it underground. Why wartime bedding systems mattered more than room temperature. Another overlooked heating strategy was prioritizing sleep warmth over ambient warmth. Civilians layered straw mattresses, wool blankets, newspapers, and even clothing between sheets to trap body heat. Beds were positioned away from exterior walls and raised off cold floors. You know, this really mattered because the human body loses heat fastest when it's inactive. By insulating the sleeping area properly, people managed to survive nights even when room temperatures dropped close to freezing. These days, modern electric blankets, well, they fail during outages, but layered natural materials still do the job. Wool, fleece, down, and even those emergency foil blankets can recreate this system quite effectively. The World War II heating strategy, you see, accepted cold rooms, but absolutely refused cold bodies. How improvised radiant heat reflected warmth back into living spaces. One of the simplest but most effective hacks involved reflective surfaces placed behind heat sources. Civilians use metal sheets, cookware lids, or even polished debris behind stoves to reflect radiant heat back into rooms instead of letting it disappear into walls. This dramatically increased perceived warmth without increasing fuel consumption. Modern survivalists can replicate this with fireproof reflective panels behind wood stoves or heaters. Radiant heat warms objects and people directly, not air, making it more efficient in poorly insulated spaces. World War II heating focused on physics, not aesthetics. Why these methods still beat modern heaters when systems fail? Modern heaters rely on electricity, complex components, and constant fuel supply. World War II heating relied on human behavior, thermal physics, and material efficiency. These methods scale down effortlessly, require minimal resources, and function during blackouts, fuel shortages, or grid collapse. The lesson is not to abandon modern technology, but to understand what works when technology fails. History is not a story. It is a manual written in hardship. If this kind of deep, practical history matters to you, subscribe to After the Sirens, share this video with someone who thinks preparedness is modern, and comment below with the wartime skill you want covered next. This channel exists to preserve the knowledge that kept people alive when comfort was a luxury and survival was earned.